Hello, this is MusicTechHelpGuy. Welcome to episode 30 of my Pro Tools video tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the Transpose window, which is another one of the event operations windows in Pro Tools. You can access this window either by just going up to Event Operations, and choosing Transpose, or using the key command Option T. We'll toggle it, we'll hide and show it. It's a very simple window. It basically allows us to transpose our MIDI notes up or down in octaves, in semitones. We can also transpose from a specific reference pitch up or down to another reference pitch. We can transpose notes all to a single note, and we can also transpose notes within a particular key. So let's start with the top portion, transpose by. One of the simplest things we can do is we can transpose something up in octaves. An octave is 12 semitones or 12 half steps. So if you imagine like middle C on your keyboard and you count up through all of the white and black keys, you'll find that there's 12 notes between C and the next C up. So that next C up is an octave above middle C, and there's 12 semitones, 12 half steps in each octave. So it's basically working with octaves is a good way to sort of maybe thin out the texture by playing a little bit higher, or deepen the texture of something by playing it lower, or you can also layer things in octaves. So let me show you the example I have here. It's just a basic chord idea with a little string melody here. I'm going to mute the string melody for now, and I'm just going to play the piano. So let's say that this part right here, I'm just playing the sort of low, slow chords. Let's say that's sort of like the intro of the song, and the first verse is going to kick in here, and there's going to be a singer singing on top of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this, and let's take this intro part and let's bump it up an octave to sort of make the texture not so thick sounding. So all we have to do is double click on the clip, go over to the transpose by octaves, and we can either type in 1 or -1 or whatever you're trying to do. I'm going to go up 1 octave, or you move the slider and you hit apply. And let's see what that sounds like. Another thing you can do with this is you can take, I like to take melodies and I like to harmonize them in octaves. So for instance, I have this string melody that comes in right at measure 7 here. If I want to make that a little more rich sounding, what I can do is right click and duplicate that track. And what I'm going to do is one of these, the duplicate track, I'm going to take this melody and we're going to make it a high melody, an up an octave melody. One of the things you have to make sure that you do in Pro Tools, though, is if you duplicate a track like this, it's recognizing both of these MIDI clips as the same clip. So if I transpose one of them up an octave, it actually transposes both of them up an octave. So what you have to do is on the one you want to alter, double click on it and press Shift Option 3. It'll re-render that clip as a new separate MIDI clip, and you can independently edit that one. So let's bump this one up an octave. I just hit apply there. By the way, all of these changes that you make can be done within the MIDI edit window as well. You can just hit Command A and then hit the apply button, and you'll physically see the notes move up. So now we've got sort of like an octave higher and an octave lower. Let me just pan the octave lower a little more to the left, the octave higher a little more to the right, probably pull the volume down a touch. Let's see what that sounds like. So it just thickens it up a little bit to harmonize that in octaves. All right, let's take a look at the semitone function. Semitones, like I said before, are musical half steps. There's 12 of them in an octave. So let's say that we start writing this tune and we realized that the singer can't really sing down in E flat minor. It's too low. We need to use a higher key, maybe G minor instead. Well, what you can do is you can count up on your keyboard, starting on the key of the song, which in my case is E flat minor, and you count that starting key as 0, and you count up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I count up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I get to G. If I go up to 5, I get A flat. If I go down to 3, I get F sharp or G flat. So I need to go up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones. So what I'm going to do to put this in G minor is just type in 4. And if you need to go down, you type in negative, whatever number of steps you want to go. So just so we can, I'm going to do this out here for these two and this one. There we go. But yeah, actually, hang on. I wanted to open this up just so you guys can see the what it does. So again, what I was talking about before is, I'm on E flat as the key of the song. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 semitones, 4 half steps. So hit Command A, hit apply. There we go. All of our E flats turn into G's, and everything else gets shifted up accordingly. So now our song's in a different key. We're in G minor, maybe a better key for maybe a higher pitched singer. Now, I'm going to undo that. Let's get back to our original key. I think we should be back in E flat minor now. Yeah, we are. Okay. I just don't want to go too far, too many steps back. Yeah, we're in E flat minor. So another way to do this is, instead of just transposing up a certain number of semitones, is you can transpose from a reference pitch to another reference pitch. So what you can do is you can just look at like the bottom note of the key of the song. Like, so for instance, let's use this note right here as a reference pitch. This is E flat, and it's in the 2nd octave. So anything from this C up to this C, or basically this C up to this B, is all 2. So this is E flat or D sharp 2. So I'm going to drag over that, and I'm going to type in E flat 2. By the way, the flat sign is just a lowercase b. And I want to transpose that up to G2. So this is the same key we were in before. I just type in G2. So we're transposing from a reference pitch of E flat 2 to G2. And let's hit apply and see what that does. There we go. Same result as we had before, just another way to do it. I actually don't like the song up in that key, so I'm going to leave it down in E flat minor. Another function that you can do, it's kind of useless right now. I can think of a couple situations where this might be useful, but this is the transpose all notes to. It literally just transposes all the notes to one note. That's all it does. It collapses everything down to one note. The only time I ever used this was when I was using a Roland V drum kit to trigger samples off a drum brain, but I was recording the MIDI data, and then some instances the drummer was hitting the rim of the electronic drum kit. The V drum's an electronic drum kit, and the rim would give me like a different note than hitting the snare drum itself, and it was totally accidental. And so I ended up having to transpose all of the notes down to D1 for the regular snare sound and not the rim snare sound. So that's really the only time I've ever used that, but it's there. You can transpose all of your notes to one note. So if you find a useful use for that, let me know. All right, the last one is Transposing Key. This one's really cool for creating some simple harmonies. Let's take a look at our string melody here in E flat minor. Basically what Transposing Key does is you can transpose anything up or down by 40 semitones, but actually not semitones, scale steps. It transposes it by scale steps, not by semitones. So if I were to just take say, this melody and transpose it like up here in semitones up or down, that's parallel transposition. That's not going to sound good in the song. Like if I just take a note and transpose, or I take this melody and transpose all of them up 3 semitones up a minor third, you're going to find that certain notes sound okay and other harmonies don't sound good at all because you're parallel transposing. Transposing in key actually transposes within the key of the song. So, for instance, if I transpose an E flat up 2 scale steps, it's going to go from E flat to F to G. So 0, 1, 2. And let me just open up a MIDI editor so you can see it better. So like here's E flat, that would be 0. The second note of the scale is 1. And the third note of the scale is 2. It really should be 1, 2, 3, so we can sort of judge like what a third is, what seconds are, fourths, fifths, different intervals, what different intervals are, but unfortunately it doesn't do it that way. So you have to think about your first note is 0, your second note is 1, your third note is 2. It's always back 1, unfortunately. But what it does is when you transpose up in a key, it omits notes that are not within the key. So how does Pro Tools know what the key of the song is? Well, you actually have to go and adjust what the global key is. So the way you do that is you go up to this bars and beats icon up here. Well, it's actually not always going to be bars and beats, but this icon up here that shows all your global rulers, and make sure that key is showing. By default, Pro Tools creates a key of C major. So we'll just click on this little plus button here. Creates a key change. I'm going to choose minor keys, and our song right now is in E flat minor. So we hit OK. Doesn't do anything. It's not going to change any of the notes. But now Pro Tools knows how to properly transpose our melody up or down to create a nice little harmony out of it. So I'm just going to mute the high melody just for now. I'm going to duplicate the string melody again. This time I'm going to push it over to the right side a bit. I'm going to re-render it by hitting Shift Option 3, consolidates it into a new clip. And this one, let's hit Option T to bring this up. This one we're going to bump up a minor third. Now again, like I said before, it's a bit confusing because a scale step is not going to be a 3 because the starting note is 0, not 1. So again, it's a little weird, but basically what's going to happen is our reference note of E flat is going to go up 0, 1, 2, because the note E is not in the key of E flat minor. The first 3 notes of E flat minor are E flat, F, G flat. So it's going to skip the note E, and it's also going to skip any other notes that aren't within the key. So let me hit Command A to select this. We're going to transpose in key up 2 scale steps. There we go. So it avoided A here because the note A is not in the key of E flat minor. Rather, A flat is and B flat is. So let's see what this sounds like. This is really useful for creating some simple melodic harmonies, where you can take a melody and then transpose the melody up a bit and create a little harmony out of it. Let's see what this sounds like just by itself. And if we open both of them up in the piano roll at the same time, you can see what the harmony really is. And then if we layer that with the octave up as well, you get a really sort of richer sounding string idea. And then let's throw the piano back in. All right, so there you go. That's the Event Operations Transpose window. It's very simple to use, very useful if you're trying to quickly transpose things on the fly. One last thing it's really good for is a lot of people who like to make music but maybe are not professionally trained or have never had like a piano lesson in their life or have no formal training on piano may have difficulty trying to just come up with ideas in any key. I have a lot of friends of mine who basically have learned to play in C major because it's all white keys, and A minor because it's all white keys. It's very, very easy to play in, but then the song needs to be, in F sharp minor instead of A minor. So you could play out your whole composition in A minor and then just transpose the whole thing down or up to the key that you want it to actually be in. So that's another use of this. If there's just a key that's kind of difficult for you to play in, you can play in an easy key like C major or A minor, and then transpose your composition up or down to fit the key of the singer. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.